are getting very sleepy. Very sleepy. This feels like this is gonna break my computer. Okay, 402, did we ever play the X-Wing game? I don't think so. Unless you're talking about the Star Wars pod racing game, because I played a lot of that. Oh, old school. You sound so old. Okay, let's just do this. Today I'm actually recording, and this will be saved afterwards. What are we building? I think I know where I'm starting. Where we actually end up, I don't know. Close this off. I want to start with a supremely basic journal, and I use the term journal so loosely. Um, Essentially, just a place where you can write things down. Um, we'll probably have it so that you can have different entries per day. But just like any kind of a journal that you have, it's actually only accessible on the machine you wrote it on, and it's not synced anywhere because syncing stuff places means that somebody could access it. Um, so if you cannot see from the title of the stream, a big chunk of the focus is going to be on making web applications that are fully capable offline. Um, and I'll show a few of the pieces that are required for that. And yeah, let's see. So the first thing worth introducing um, is this tool that I have built. It becomes particularly useful for something like this. So it's called Ngram. I'll shoot a link. Just quickly open this up. That's linked to the home page. Still getting some kinks worked out, but essentially it's just a way to quickly deploy your code. And the amazing thing about building an offline JavaScript web application is deployment is really easy. Like you've just got your HTML file and maybe some JavaScript, and that's it. As long as the browser can fetch that, it's all good. And so there's some instructions for how to install, but I already have it installed. And so I can just do an EG deploy. This -n specifies the URL prefix, which I'll show what that means in a second. The -w means it'll watch for file changes. And then the privacy public means that all of you can actually access it when I'm messing around with it. And so if we start that up, you'll see deployed 165 milliseconds. And if we open this up, my application is ready to go. So here is another link. Can I pin that? What does pinning do? Ooh, cust unpin after manually. If you want, I can help you with JS. But that's what I'm doing here. But you can also shout suggestions if you want. Let's see. So this guy's already up and running. You should be able to access it to that link that I just posted. And then if I make a save here, you can see that it redeploys it. And if you open that up, it's already available on that URL. So if you're curious to follow along with the changes as they're made, you can just kind of refresh as I make the changes and see them live. So I don't actually want this journal. What I do want is a script. And we're also going to use, I've become pretty interested in messing around with just plain old vanilla JavaScript. Document, oh, thank you, sir. Body, and then we could do something like document.create element. And my love for this style comes from my video game history. It just seems so much easier to have it done all in code, especially when it comes down to building different components. Like as part of this stream, or do you mean in general? Or separately from this? Body append, and then let's just create element each one. So we'll just recreate what we had in this style, which is a bit more verbose for sure, but I'll show you why it's not so bad after that. And then root.append type. Save that, check this out. This is the exact same thing. If you have a look at it, you can now see that this is that root div that got created in the journal. All chat that create an application. I'm game for that. I've started out with a very basic starting point, and if you want to shout out different things to add to it, go for it. And I could just incorporate those. So for now, mostly what I'd like to start with is just a basic gigantic text area that I can add my text to. And so maybe we can change this to body. Oops, I already have two bodies, of course. What do I want to call it? Twit chat codes. We'll call it entry, I guess. And this will now change to a div, and we'll make it content editable. And now we get this wonderful little box here, which already covers most of our bases for what we want, which is that I can take some notes here. This is cool. Obviously, if I refresh this page, that completely goes away. So which part do I want to start with? If we're focused mostly on offline stuff, let's have a look at how we actually save that information. Let's see, the first place I would like to start. So basically we want to save that text whenever it's changed. And so we can add an event listener to that div. And I honestly forget, I think change works, but I need to double check. Nope, that does not work like I want. Content editable change event is input. That sounds like it. Add event listener There we go. So now that'll tell me whenever some new text has been added. So essentially what we'll do is save text here. And the simplest way we can do this is saving it in local storage. So I could do something like local storage, set item. I'll just call it entry for now. And then we will save entry dot, I think we can just do inner text even. That's fine. And then it'll still go away, but if we go to the applications tab, if I did this right, there, we can see that it's got the value in it across sessions. And so all we need to do is load this up and set our default to that when the page first loads. And so we can do a get item. And if it doesn't already exist, it's going to return undefined. So we'll just default that to an empty string. Entry text, something like that. And then inner text equals that. And if I did that correctly, there we go. It's got it there. And does that all work with new lines? Interesting that it kind of did a double jump there. That seems okay. Okay, that's a very basic. I need to close this because I'm getting full sun glare, which is lovely. Okay. So now we're saving it to local storage. Next, there's a few places to go. Let's see here. Okay, I think where we'll actually go is, so right now, and this is going to be very difficult to test streaming because I can't kill my internet. So does this give me network throttling? Can I disable the network altogether? Probably not, so I think we'll just have to show it in this guy. Okay, what I want to do is show how to get it so that after you first loaded this application, even if you were completely offline, it would still work. Wasn't there an offline option in the drop-down? Was I totally missing that? Oh, well, that's obvious. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Why it's so aggressively complaining. That sounds good. And then if we were to come back, it's online. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So to do this, we will need a service worker, and I forget how this all works, so you will explore with me. So create a service worker, and at the start of our main application JavaScript file, we do a navigator.serviceworker.register, and then we can register this guy. I think that should be enough. Failed to register, bad HTTP response, probably because it didn't actually return it. Connection closed, cannot dispatch. I wonder if this didn't pick up the new file. That's very possible. That's exactly what it was. That's a bug. Okay. So now this has triggered the service worker to load. You should be able to see it here exactly. And now what this allows us to do is, hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers follow. The price is lower than a competitor. Hype. Doge hype. Wow. This is my first opportunity to ban someone. Why do I have to type their whole name? Oh no, that's not what I wanted. XD. Let's see how this goes. Wow. Lovely. Okay, getting back on track. I forget the syntax for this entirely, so cache resources. I think I've used this one before and it's a decent resource. Not quite what I want. Oh, nope. That's better. So this one, what it does is on install of the service worker, it caches files specifically. What I've found even easier is just doing it on every single fetch. And so that's kind of similar to this. If matches, yeah, theirs is much more complicated. So it'd be something similar to this, except. So it says on every fetch, it's going to hijack, and then it's going to respond with whatever we say. This caches exists kind of just globally in the service worker, which is just a little bit of magic. And so if it matches, we just return that request. Perfect. And then if it doesn't match, it makes a new request, grabs the response, and then throws that into our cache. Let me see, cache new request. Yeah. Perfect. And so the only thing we need is a cache name, which we could do something like journal v1. And the fun thing about these service workers is you need to specifically tell them. It's so confusing. So right here it shows the old one is activated and running. The next one is waiting to activate. So this is the change that we actually made. And I don't even know exactly what happens. So if I refresh again, when does it actually? Okay, I had to do a full Control-Shift-R reload before that one got picked up. So supposedly now we're running the new one. And if we take a look at our network, actually maybe the console even. Interesting. There we go. Okay. So here it shows caching new resource, this guy, fetching resource icon, caching new resource. And now if we check out the network, we can see kind of double work happening here. From service worker. Right, so this means that we did the actual fetch, but it was the service worker that actually responded with it. So now if you refresh one more time, now that they're cached, you'll see that all of them get served by the service worker, and you'll see no network request at all. And if you check here, I'm guessing this is still fetching this one because it fails, and so yeah, it's a 500, which I guess it probably cannot cache. Interesting. But just with this alone, now if we simulate going offline, perfect. This now works offline. This surprise, I had to read an entire book before I understood how this even works. And it still blows my mind that this isn't how most applications are built by default. it's really difficult to go back in time and undo an existing application and make it offline first, or offline capable even. So something I've been interested in is making sure that the applications I'm building now kind of default to this offline first situation. That kind of went faster than I thought it would. So I think maybe we'll move on to storing this for multiple days. So instead of having one gigantic journal, basically every day of the week, you'd be presented with a new journal. And to start that, we can, so that's the entry, and then we'll have a date input. And then after this, I think, remind me because I'm going to forget, I'll kind of create some utilities that makes this a little bit less verbose. So the date input, we want the type to be date, and it will default to now by default, and then we just throw it into the root. And there we have it. Okay. Deploy dash. Is that what deploys to my app? Yes. Yes, it does. Now we want to watch for a change on this. And again, I don't even remember if it's the correct event, so we'll just confirm. Change, we did get an event. So that should be fine. The annoying thing is this value is so painful. Oh, I can get value as date. Does that work? Guess I could turn my internet back on, that would help. Interesting, I didn't know that existed actually. You learn something new every day. Okay, so we're going to want to change. So right now we can only store a single entry into local storage. We'll want to update this so that we're storing one per date. And so I'd want something along the lines of this. And so for now, we can swap this. Where's the first one come in? Get item. So this is actually how I'd like it to save and work. Check that out in the local storage. Good. This one's still here. We don't actually need it. And now what we'd want is if I change this date, it will read from the other key. And if I make a change, it'll actually set that change in here. And to start, we probably want, can I set this representing? Is this read only? Returns a value. I'm curious, can I do this? Ooh, that's kind of convenient. Okay, so that shows it correctly. And then if I were to do something, value as date. I guess if I make a change, it will already put it in the input. Perfect. And then all I need to do is update the one that we're looking at. And so this is kind of where we get into React-y kind of territory, where now some change in our application, we want to modify another component on the screen based off of that. And so the flow's pretty much the same for everything that's like this. Is a component's going to have some default value, which is this thing right here. And so when this changes, we want to pick that up. And so you see here, this default's actually pulled from local storage. So instead of doing something like this, what we might want is something more along the lines of handle date changed, something like that. And then we could do and then we'll call it right away, because when we first come in, we need to set some kind of a value. And we want to grab this string from the current date on the date input. And so if we do something like this, as number value, I kind of think the value comes back in the shape that we want. So I'm just going to try it even. Yep, exactly. So now that's picking that off correctly. And then we just need to update the set item. Here, so it did not change it, but it should have. Oh, because I didn't actually call. So here now on change, we want to specifically call handle date changed. And there we go. As soon as this changes, it attempts to load up the new entry. And so this is March 15th. You could change it. This is March 13th. And you can see them filling up the local storage with the correct keys. And if I were to go back to 14, my first message is there, 15, etc. And now already with that, you have a pretty functional journal. Doesn't look too good. And that's a starting point. And I think we'll tidy up some of the code, add some utilities, and then maybe we'll make this a bit prettier. So some nice utilities I like to have when I'm writing code in this kind of a style is this kind of stuff. You can imagine gets pretty unruly to have too many of them. And so what I like to have is, and for now I'll keep it all in one file even, and then as it gets too much, we'll move it around. But here I could do create element div, and this div can replace these guys. And this will kind of start looking and feeling a bit more React-y even as this happens. And this would just replace this. Input, that's this guy. That's kind of a decent enough starting point. Okay, that works for me. Let's see, what can we do? I mean, I would most likely use this on a phone, so I want to make sure that it works appropriately there, and that clearly does not. Initial scale viewport. Why does that seem inappropriately small? Oops. Hmm. It's so tiny. It's slightly better, I guess. The 45%. Yes, I think that's what you just caught. Yep. There we go. What do I want out of this? What should we do with this? If you have any suggestions, let me know, and we can roll with that. Kind of start with this basis of a very simple shell of an offline application, and then every different application can kind of grow from this base. I think a very easy thing we could do is we could make it have a dark mode. Can you make it look pretty? Yeah, I mean, we can work towards that. Color, like a nice, like almost black, but not quite black. And the same for my text. Okay, it's already basically a dark mode. Let's give this date should maybe move to the middle, and we can do that. That one we can do in here. So let's actually add this here, dot display. You know what I saw recently? Can I do this? Because if so, that's interesting. Oh, I can. Interesting. I lose the type completion, but that feels much easier to write. What did I want with this? I wanted this to have a max width, maybe 800 pixels, and then a width. I mean, that should cover it with max width. And then maybe a margin 0 auto. I think I need to do something. So it did go on. Interesting. Did it only pick up one of them? Maybe that doesn't quite work. Where? Get over here. Let me see. Why did my browser die? There we go. What am I looking for? This is not quite working unless, oh, you know, maybe max width. Oh, I understand. This needs to be proper CSS. There we go. Okay, that's kind of neat. Yeah, I really don't enjoy the fact that you have to, if you did this here, you do root.style.max width, and then you're dealing with, this is not actually what it is. So that's kind of cool. Curiosity, if I does it store it just as a string? And why do I keep closing the browser? Yikes. Oh, it's because it's counting as this. That's annoying. That's so interesting. It's still the full class. It just lets me set it in the wonkiest of ways. Huh. That's kind of neat if you ask me. Out of curiosity, does document have one? Dot style sheets, not quite. Like, can you get the root HTML element of a document? Maybe that's too hopeful. No, because if you are poking styles on the browser and they are on point, you can just copy. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. So if I were to be in here and change this to whatever color, red, font size, 2em, and then all of a sudden I liked that, I could copy this. Surely there's a better copy selector, copy all CSS changes. And that I would throw on the entry, I guess. That copy did not work the way I would like. Whoa. Oh yeah. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. You learn something new every day. Let's see here. So that got us that, and then the input. Oh, that makes styling so much easier. That's just nice. And look, you can call it CSS and JS. Oh my god, it started a whole new thing. Jokes always existed. This guy, I don't really love it being that color, so maybe we can do a... I'm so used to doing this stupid background, like the capital C. This is going to be interesting. It should be 111. Oh, and then I can do what you were saying, is I can just mess with it here, because this one has so many weird ones to get rid of. And I always forget which one it is. Outline, I think that's just border. Yeah. And why? Oh, because that should be... There we go. That's the starting point. And then I just go boom. Okay. Oh, you are on top of the styles. Oh, you mean my face. We talked about this. Okay, I'll go up here. So sorry, so sorry. I was told not to put it there, and then I still put it there. Yeah, I'm copying the... What did I do? Copy all declarations, I think. Yeah. Except I like these as this. Because then they could just be a variable. Cool. Okay. Let's throw this guy maybe... Wow, it's not like this. That's funny. This is pretty calm. I want this guy in the middle, and then I want this thing to be full screen height. So let's do that. Date input, I want you in the middle. Surely I can't text align center here. I guess I could have tried that elsewhere. Yeah, no, did not think that. I do like that. The thing that's interesting is you can't even see it because it's black. There's a calendar icon here. Let me see if we can modify that. Date input. That's hilarious. Oh, this also fixes the problem with pseudo classes, I think, if this actually works. And then we've really got something that didn't do so well. Kid. I don't even know if this was right though. Let's throw that in. Okay, that does work. That's too bad. Style. One day. There's got to be a way to do this here. No, it doesn't. I cheated. I put it here. If I get rid of this, it breaks. I'm curious. Pseudo class 2. Nope, that's not even remotely what I want. How do you even, like, what's the Google search query for what I'm looking for? None of that. Selecting, manipulating. Pseudo class JavaScript. That's the closest thing. You can do it by altering the style sheet. Well, that doesn't seem like what I want. Style background color. Small library for this. That's too bad. Problem for another day, I think. Okay. But this does make it look better, so we're gonna leave it. I can take this out. And now we can actually see it. That's nice. And I want the whole thing. Let's see. So we could expand it. Let's just see what that looks like. I had a feeling that might work. I don't hate that though, because then you could tap anywhere here and it would actually trigger it, especially on a phone. That's kind of convenient. Okay, I could deal with that. Oh, that's a click here and then you gotta go over here. That's hilarious. Ring, 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 banana phone. Okay, we'll leave that. We'll make it font weight bold, and then yeah, I think it might be. I think that we're getting set up here. The sky, I want to make that take the rest of the height. We can, did I flex this? No, but I could. And then we could do flex direction, I think, column. Perfect. And then I'm thinking we can flex one the sky. That's not it, of course. Oh, this one's not the right height. There we go. Now we're talking. So now I can click anywhere in here and it'll pick it up. Nice, 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 nice. And I'm really particular and I hate the outlines, so not root. That's on this guy and on our entry. None. There we go. Peace. Me too. But are they good for anything? Like for for tabbing, I think it's nice. I mean, a blind person wouldn't see the outline, so removing the outline doesn't cause problems. The tabbing will still work, and I find like all of these, I can see exactly what's happening. I think if you have like a large form and a whole bunch of stuff on your website, totally makes sense. But I find for stuff like this, I like it to just be calm, especially a journal. And I'm guessing I forgot to add the height 100 here. X direction, column, percent, and reload that. And that covers that. And then this guy needs a flex one. There we go. So I can click anywhere and actually get myself focused in, which will be particularly useful on the phone. March 14th, 2023, 1650. What should I do next? I can maybe fix this weird double new line. What's that all about? It's full on injecting BRs. That's probably because content editable is stupid. Because we did one, two, three. Oh, interesting. That's really annoying if you ask me. I wonder if it's worth making this a text area, if that would make it more enjoyable. Let us try. So we can make ourselves another helper function for text area. And then instead of this guy, entry becomes a text area. And what do I do next? Oh, now it's saving the wrong thing. No, I should put it in text. Entry.value. I'm just going to rename this to text area because that seems easier. And the value, and then this should be value, and that hopefully will stop us from breaking. Okay, great. It actually holds itself, and then we just need to modify it so that it doesn't have a background. And maybe we can use this as a moment to set up our colors. We can have black be nope, the sky, and then we can have white be, and then that's not how that works. And this would be something like colors dot black and color would be colors dot white. Okay, not so bad. Resize none, and the last one border none. Perfect. Back to piece. Make sure the sky's still going. You betcha. Okay. Good, 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 good. Let's see how adding alt helps them for, Yes. I mean, one day I want to do a whole accessibility deep dive because I very much don't know enough, and I don't think it's taught enough either. But the beauty of building applications for yourself is you deal with your own accessibility issues. And for me, having a bunch of outlines and color on a page blows my brain up. And so if you see most of the applications I build, extremely basic. I like colors. And this is why I think everyone should make their own stuff, because everyone's different. Like, I think many people would look at this and go, "What is this? Why did you even make this?" But this is better than most applications I've ever used. To me. I don't say that it is for everyone, and I'm not releasing it for everyone because it's mine. And the whole point of this exercise is to show you that in an hour I built an application that I use every single day. And it wasn't that hard, but it is live. It is live. And you can use it if you want, but guess what? If you're you can't see my information, so use it if you like. It's for everyone who likes it. Fine. Fine, fine, fine. We got more of these. Replace these guys with our colors dot whiteroni. Place the sky colors dot black. And I think I won't do too much more today. This is kind of a nice, like, natural ending point. But do I want to do something? Let's just pull some things out into separate files to kind of clean this up, and then I think we'll leave it at that. And so, first option, can maybe pull a separate, let's see, what order do I want to do this in? Date input.js. This I think will be interesting because I don't often do this, but export const, I should just be able to do this even. I'm going to switch these over to MJS, and that should allow us, once I also update this guy and specify type equals module. I really don't like bundlers, and I think they're not the future. I think they're the past. So what I'm curious is whether we can do stuff like this. Date input, I guess, and instead of creating it, sorry, this was not what I wanted. I wanted export function date input. I prefer when they're named EL. Turn EL. Okay, so that just exports a function. So this is very much like a React component. And then we could import it here. And finally, do something like this. And this guy, I think, needs to get restarted because of that bug we discovered earlier. And of course, it blows up. Input is not defined. That makes sense. This guy's trying to use this guy. So we'll follow the chain reaction. We'll make ourselves an input guy that we can then reuse. Take this one, throw it in here, export that, and maybe closer, or border, oh, same thing. I'm clearly missing yet another thing. Colors, we just keep on going. And this is now, this can go here. And we will need to update this to import that. And maybe we're almost successful. That's not appearing to be so. I'm trying to think of excited around. Oh, thank you, Sashimi Rolling. I'll finish up moving some things, and then that's probably where we'll cap this off. But what is my problem here? Oh, I didn't import it, that's why. Closer, date input, okay. Obviously, that's here. There we go. Except we lost. Why? This is an interesting color change. I probably added something wonky. Background color. Oh, well, that was a silly thing to do. 111. Cool. Kind of neat thing about these the modules is it will by default kind of like import things only as they're found, which if you can imagine if you had a whole lot is quite inefficient on the initial load, but on future loads it shouldn't actually have to load anything. Well, if this thing was working correctly, it wouldn't. Unregister. Let's see. Does that fix it? Why are you still serving up? Can delete it. Where is it? Not local storage. Cache storage. So here you can clear out the cache if you have problems like me with it. At least I think you can. Delete. Delete. And now it should actually refetch it all. And now I would assume, there we go. So all of these now get served up from the cache, but you kind of get this nice, like you can see all of them individually. And the other benefit is I don't actually need to bundle this code. And so this is in some ways kind of its own code splitting. And I'm curious to explore how that actually works in practice. So let me see. Do I want to wrap this up? It's just, that's the text area. That would just be that. I think we might leave it at that. Some mild cleanup to be done. But at the end of the day, just move a few of these around. Stop level, set item. I think I'm happy with that. I think that's a good enough place to stop. So that's my first JavaScript stream. I'm probably going to attempt to cut that up together and throw it up on YouTube, and we'll see how that goes. And that's kind of all I got for today.